My guest today was a happy wife and mother of three when one day her life changed forever after meeting a little girl with an infectious smile. Little did she know that her life would be turned upside down. She would travel thousands of miles away from home, and her heart and life would be transformed forever. Welcome, Meadow.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here.
So you felt called to Africa from a very young age. You thought that God at some point would take you to Africa.
Right.
Tell me about that.
I think just as a young child, God planted this desire in my heart, along with, becoming a writer, getting married, having children. And I always wanted, as part of our family picture, to adopt a baby from Africa.
And so your husband was kind of on the fence about it earlier on.
Yeah, this was definitely something the Lord had planted in my heart. And when I brought it up to Dana, the man I married, he said, I think we should take care of the children we have before we jump into taking care of someone else's.
And so lo and behold, you go to church one day and you meet this little girl named Ruth. And you have some friends who are taking care of her because she has cerebral palsy. She's been brought from Uganda for some medical treatment. And long story short, you kind of start falling in love with this little girl, don't you?
It was very unexpected to me. Had we gone through the process and filled out an actual paper to adopt, there's a box on there, would you consider adopting a child with special needs? And myself, I wouldn't have checked that box. But the moment my friend's husband laid Ruth in my husband's arms, he looked at me and he said, "So, do you want to adopt her?"
And the irony of that, right? So then you're like, I'm not sure. And the guy who was kind of against it is like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a switched role here.
Absolutely. So here I had been advocating for let's bring children into our home who need homes. And here was this little girl who God had literally put on a plane from Uganda to Maine.
And put on your lap.
Right there in our arms. And I was saying, whoa, but I don't think I'm ready for this.
So you decide to bring her into your home periodically.
That's right.
Take care of her. And you start falling in love with her to the point where the people who are kind of overseeing the Welcome Home organization where she lives in Uganda say, Meadow, you have to make a decision. If you're going to adopt her, you need to do it.
Yeah, I wanted to play it safe. I wanted to make sure that if we gave Ruth a home, it wasn't going to cost us too much. It wouldn't overwhelm our family, the difficulties of caring for a child with disabilities. And God put us in a position where we had to say yes, even though it was very scary and we had no idea what the outcome would be overall, or even whether Ruth would be able to stay in our home.
So you decide that, you're going to adopt her.
Right.
And you have to travel across the world with Ruth to Uganda to get all the papers solidified. And tell me about that experience when you went to Welcome Home, this place, this orphanage, essentially, that Ruth had spent her earliest days in. What was that like, seeing a multitude of other children that didn't have a permanent home?
In one way, it was really beautiful because Welcome Home Ministries Africa does a phenomenal job of taking care of the children in their care. But on the other hand, it was really heartbreaking because I would see these children playing, or pushing around their plastic trucks, singing songs, dancing. And at the end of the day, there was no one coming to the gate to bring them home.
So as you see this as a mom and knowing that your intention is to adopt Ruth and she's captured your heart, what is that like as you know that you can't take another child, just from a mother's perspective?
Honestly, I wanted to do everything I could to give Ruth a home, but as I was there, God transformed my heart into sharing this message about the number of children who need homes and how precious they are to Him.
So you return home. We are like speeding through this story,
Absolutely.
and you're gonna you at home are gonna have to get your copy because it's an amazing story. So you return home, and Ruth becomes officially yours on Valentine's Day of all days, and you start kind of getting used to the fact that Ruth is now part of your family. You have found out that she's deaf, so she has another challenge on top of that. But there's also a challenge between you and Dana and just life in general.
Absolutely. You know, God brought us to a point where we couldn't take care of all of Ruth's needs, our other children's needs, let alone spend time with each other or volunteer in our church and in our community. And we had to pull back from a lot of those things, but also we had to allow God to show his love to us through other people. And in all of that, he was so faithful to surround us, you know, just one person here who would bring a meal or one person here who would drop off clothes. And he made his love real to us, you know, in that hardest place.
Well, it's gonna get a little bit harder. When we come back, Meadow and her family welcome Ruth officially as part of their family. The adoption is complete. But then an unexpected turn of events leaves their family mourning the loss of the child that changed their life. Stay with us.